Tom Kane was a man who was a part of my life for many, many years, way before I had even heard his name. The first time I ever heard his voice was when I was 6 years old. Now, by that point, I had already played COD Zombies, but my first game was Black Ops 2, and since I didn't know what a DLC was, all I had to listen to was Marlton's annoying ass. But a year later, a close friend of mine let me borrow Black Ops 1 for a week, and for the first time ever, I was able to experience Kino der Toten. And I remember at that point being quite surprised by the fact that these characters weren't the same as the ones in Black Ops 2. I was very young, so the concept of sequels and all of that wasn't very cemented in my mind, so naturally I played for hours. But since I was bad, I kept dying, which let me get acquainted with the characters for a bit. Which I'm just gonna be blunt with you because I think it's best to be honest. Tokyo was never really my favorite. However, I blame that more on the direction of Ultima's Tokyo as a whole. As the years flew by, I kept hearing Tom Kane's voice in many outlets without even knowing it was him. But it wasn't until Black Ops 3, specifically their Eisendrache, where I found out about Primus Tokyo and consequentially Tom Kane. This version of the character was infinitely more interesting than Ultimus to me, and to be honest, an actual character, and that was enough to pique my interest. But then came along Zetsubo, and that's what made me love Tokyo as a character. Tom Kane pulled off an amazing performance, showing the sadness of the situation between these two versions of the characters, and it all fascinated me enough to look more into Tom himself, where I was surprised to find out just how many characters he had given life to. He was a pillar in Star Wars animation, voicing characters like Yoda, Boba Fett, Qui-Gon Jinn, C-3PO, and Admiral Akbar. He also voiced Professor Utonium, him, and even Magneto, which was just such a shock to me considering by that point I was already a huge fan of Marvel vs. Capcom 3. And if you are too, you just know how many damn times you've heard.
Gravity squeeze!
He voiced Quincy Sharp, Gandalf, Ultron, and many, many more. You have probably heard him without even knowing him. Some of your favorite characters might only be your favorite because of this man right here. When I first heard of his tragic stroke and how he couldn't make it into the COD Mobile reunion and probably wouldn't be able to voice act again, I was already devastated. We had already lost a legendary voice, but even then, he still took the time to make a public appearance. Showing that despite his injuries, his lovable personality was still there. Unfortunately, though, it would only be almost 2 months later where he would sadly pass away, solidifying the loss of an amazing actor and human being who was taken away too soon. And I, for one, will be mourning this loss for many more years. Thank you so much, Tom. You were a pillar of my childhood and one of the people carrying me through my darkest years with your amazing performances. You will always be remembered.